Matthew 24. Matthew, the 24th chapter. And we're going to look at verses 3 through 13. It's very important that you understand this. This is why the onslaught is coming upon our people. We taught this lesson a few weeks ago when we went up to Raleigh and talking to the pastors up there. We gave the lesson that only upon the truth that we will be able to stand. And we got them to understand and show them that through the Bible that racism does not exist. That what we're experiencing in this country is called Jacob's trouble. Because Jacob is under attack, according to Revelation, the 12th chapter, that Satan has went out of his way and brought war and persecution against those who are the seed of the woman who birthed the child, which is Christ. You understand? And so, if we're going to give you some research on down now, so I'm trying not to get too excited. I'm trying to hold myself in the water right now, because this message is about our lives. We don't need the shirts of Black Lives Matter because you ain't black. Okay? Israelite lives matter. Now, verse 24, chapter 24, Matthew 24, get in verse 3 there.
And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciple came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be, and what shall be a sign of the coming and the end of the world?
Now, if you go back and look at verses 1 and 2 there, they were standing outside the temple, and Christ told them that, listen, all this temple that you're seeing right here, it's about to be done. Every rock, every stone is going to be done. And so the disciples asked, what did he say again?
Tell us, when shall these things be, and what shall be a sign of thy coming, and the end of the world?
Verse 4.
And Christ answered unto them, saying, Take heed that no man deceive you.
Take heed that no man deceive you. Verse 5.
For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many.
And shall deceive many, i.e. the Catholic Church, i.e. the Protestant Reformation. Now I know that may offend many of you, but you have to understand that we're going to show you here in this Bible that everything that was written in this Bible was written by Israelites, for Israelites, by the inspiration of the Most High. And what we see today is a result of what happens when the Israelites fail. What you're seeing today is not the Most High's will. It happened because of we not being in place. And this is why it tells us in Romans 11 chapter that blindness came upon Israel for a time till the fullness of the Gentiles began. Does that mean all Gentiles are off? Of course not. Does that mean that all Gentiles are not submitted to the true Christ? Of course not. But the rhetoric, the denominations, the theology, and everything that you see right now comes from the Catholicism of the Catholic Church, which is not of the Most High. Okay? Verse 6.
And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet.
But the end is not yet. And we are seeing right now all these wars and rumors of wars. Everybody talking about North Korea. Everybody talking about the Middle East. Everybody talking about Russia. Everybody talking about all China and all these different wars and rumors of wars. You got all these rebellions and revolutions that are taking on around the world. And everybody's saying now, because we're seeing it, it's over. But he said, what did he say at the end? Christ said?
See that ye are not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet.
But the end is not yet. So why are all these preachers telling you, you could be raptured out of here any day? You see what I'm saying? Many shall come in my name and deceive, say they Christ, and deceive many. First of all, rapture is not in the Bible. That's first and foremost, okay? But to tell people right now that we can leave here any day now is a lie from the pits of hell. And it's mostly directed at our people. That's why you see in the churches, in these Baptist churches and in the Amazon churches, that's all you hear all the time is just hold on. Just hold on. Jesus is on his way back. Just hold on. Hold on to what? What about my everyday life? What about my children? What about my grandchildren? Verse 7.
For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places.
Now, you need to understand here that when he says nations shall rise against nations, that means races. Races of people. Not racist, races of people. You understand? See, the problem is this. Living in a country like America, where you have all these different people here, people consider themselves to be Americans. But that's not a nation. That's not a race. America is not a race. Okay? You just have a bunch of different people here from different nations. You understand? So, if we not knowing who we are, that's going to be very, very detrimental if we call ourselves black when we don't realize that the other nations are going to be rising up against other nations. Right? So I think it's very important for us to understand what nation we truly belong to. Because when they start rising up against us, we're going to say, well, buddy, we're African Americans. Why are you mad at me? And they're going to say, no, you're not African American, you're Jacob. So it's a shame that the nations know who we are, but we don't. This is why Israelite lives matter. This is why knowing who you are right now matters. Because if you don't, many of our people are going to be caught off guard, living the so-called American dream, which is nothing but a nightmare, a deception. Verse 9.
All these things.
Verse 8.
All these are the beginning of sorrow.
So he says, when nations start rising up against nations, and when you see earthquakes and pestilence and famines, he says, verse 8 says what?
All these are the beginning of sorrow.
All of these are the beginning of sorrows. The church is telling people that it's the end, when Christ is saying that it's the beginning of the sorrows. Verse 9.
Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted.
They're going to deliver Christians up.
They shall deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and you shall be hated of all nations for my name.
For whose sake?
For my name's sake.
So if you don't know that you're an Israelite, you're going to be sitting around talking about this racism. You're going to be sitting around talking about this is discrimination. Why do you think we're getting shot in the streets? Why do you think these things are happening in this country? Because nations are rising up against nature. And verse 9 says what?
Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and it shall kill you, and you shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake.
For Christ's sake. Because you're an Israelite. Not because your skin is black. Not because you go to a Baptist church or you're a Christian. So but this is what happens. These churches right now, they come in here and preach these scriptures, and instead of saying it in context of who he's talking to, they like to say Christian in there. But it wasn't no such thing as a church. It wasn't no such thing as a Christian and anything when Christ was talking about this right here. He was talking to Israelites. And how many Jewish people you see get shot in the streets? How many Jewish people you see getting drugged out of their houses? How many Jewish people you see getting thrown in prisons? How many Jewish people you see being persecuted? But you see us. And we still standing out there talking about some Black Lives Matter. Give us our civil rights. Love us. Receive us. And when it all is based on the fact of the matter is that we don't know who we are. Verse 10.
And they shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another.
This is what's going on right now. And it's going to get even worse. Because the more Israelites wake up, the more our people wake up to who we are, people are getting offended. So then when they see you out with your fringes on, Israelite, when they see you out with your mitres on, when they see you walking away from the church, when they see you walking away from Thanksgiving and Christmas and Easter, your family's going to be offended. They're going to start saying you're crazy. The FBI has put out a warning saying that all black identity extremists are future terrorists. Then we've been telling people that for 2 years that the rhetoric is going to switch from the Muslims to blacks. Now all of a sudden we future terrorists. Why is it that? Because we know now that we are not black, that we're not African American, and we are reestablishing our heritage and our identity. And now all of a sudden now, we a problem. So read that verse for him again.
And then many shall be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another.
Verse 11.
And many false prophets shall rise, and shall deceive many.
That's why you got all these people right now talking about, you're in the grace. You don't got to worry about it. The rapture is coming. Any day is coming. Hold on. Early. God wants you to be rich. You're going to get out of that poverty. Just stay black. Send us some cash. And then everything's going to be all right. This is why this is going on. And they're going to send the Gentile preacher to your neighborhood. Hey, buddy, this is white Jesus and he loves you. Come on down to the church. We'll accept you. Not only that, but the Jewish people done stepped up the game now and calling themselves Messianic Jews. Come on down to the temple now. You can come on to our synagogues. You wasn't inviting me before. Why all of a sudden you want me there now? Because they're coming up with all these things to drag our people away, to get our people off the focus, to close our ears to the Holy Spirit that is waking us up to who we are. And as long as you still keep walking around here talking about you're black, you're not going to know what's going on. So when they show up to your door, you're going to be caught off guard. Israel, lives matter. Verse 12.
And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved.
The same shall be saved. We must endure to the end. But you can't endure something that, in a war that you don't even know what's going on against you. That's the number one way you can be a victim, when you don't even realize that you're at war. So today's lesson is entitled, Israelite Lives Matter. Now, let's go to Romans, the 3rd chapter. Just stay with us in here. And we appreciate each and every one of you coming on with us this morning. We thank God for you. Like I told you, people in the outset, that it's one of the most important messages that we've ever done. We did a message a few weeks ago called Rebirth of a Nation. It's powerful. When we started out back in weeks ago, when we did Chosen but Unaware, powerful. When we did the Religion versus Bloodline, which we consider redoing because we did that kind of early in the awakening. And we got so many people that have been coming on with us. We think that maybe we might need to do that again. But this message that the Most High is giving us here today, I'm telling you right now, it just been on my spirit all week long. And I'm so glad that we got some new people on with us today. And I'm so glad that the Most High has empowered this message. But I'm telling you right now, we got to stay with this message. Don't click off. Stay with us. Israelite lives matter. Now, Romans the 3rd chapter. Let's go to verse 1 there.
What advantage then has the Jew? Or what profit is there of circumcision?
So Paul is asking here, what advantage is there being a Jew? What is the profit of being a circumcision? Circumcision entails the whole nation of Israel. Now, Paul is asking this question thousands of years ago. And he set this up for all you people that are saying that it doesn't matter. And the truth of the matter is that the Most High gave me some peace on this thing because, you know, when we first was awakened a couple years ago, and we began to tell our family, I began to tell my friends and my peers, and I got the door slammed on my face, and calls don't return, messages don't return, blocked and deleted, and family laughing at me. It really was painful. It really was making me sad because, you respected me all these years, but now when we was coming with something that you hadn't heard, many of our people just didn't want to hear anything we had to say. And a lot of the family just looking at us like we were crazy. And I was troubled over it because I was like, yo, this is one of the most important revelations the Most High has ever given our people. This is about us. And the number one thing we keep hearing, we said on the outside is, they said it doesn't matter. We're in Christ. So why would Paul even make the statement like this if it didn't matter? So read that for him again.
What advantage then hath the Jew?
What advantage does the Jew have?
Or what profit is there of the circumcision?
Verse 2.
Much every way, chiefly because that unto them were committed the oracles of God.
Now, let's give you a precept on that to make sure you understand what that is talking about here. Let's go to Psalms 147. Yeah, we was talking. We was addressing that last night, and that's why I wanted to tell you last night, about this message. But I knew you was going to be on with us, and I had to fine tune it. I had to continue to pray about it. So, I kind of kept this to myself this week because I didn't want to put the flesh on it. I didn't want to put the carnality on it. So, but I'm so glad that you're on with us this morning. This is a message. Not only for the waking our people up, but this is a message to encourage our people as well, those who are already awake, that we must stay woke. We must continue to walk in this truth. So let me give y'all a precept here of what Paul is talking about here. Psalms 147. Look at verse 19 and 20 here. We're precepting this right here to give you further clarification of what Paul is talking about here. Psalms 147. Now let's look at verses 19 and 20. Verse 19.
He showeth his word unto Jacob.
To the church.
Unto Jacob.
Unto Christians.
Unto Jacob.
Unto Europe.
Unto Jacob.
Unto the Catholic Church.
Unto Jacob. His statutes and his judgments unto Israel.
Unto all the Baptists.
Unto Israel.
Unto all the Catholicism.
Unto Israel.
Unto those that are in Italy.
Unto Israel.
The French.
Unto Israel.
No. It got to be Great Britain.
Unto Israel.
To America.
Unto Israel.
To the evangelical church.
Unto Israel.
Unto Israel. And what?
And he has not dealt so with any nation.
Oh, he went to every country.
He has not dealt so with any nation.
He walked through Europe and made sure they got it too.
Not dealt so with any nation.
He sat down with the United States government and the presidents and gave it to them.
Not dealt so with any nation.
With any nation.
And as far as his judgments, they have not known them. Praise ye the Lord.
They have not known them. Okay? Every writer of this Bible is an Israelite. Every person, every church that was established, the gospel going forth, was established by Israelites. Christ is an Israelite. Paul, Peter, John, Israelites. And they're not white. They look like you and I. Now, let's go back to Romans, the 3rd chapter. Read verse 2 for him again.
Much every way, chiefly because that unto them were committed the oracles of God.
Okay, verse 3.
For what if some did not believe? Shall their unbelief make the faith of God without effect?
So what if some people don't believe that we're the true Israelites? What if some people say that it doesn't matter that we're Israelites? Verse 4.
God forbid.
God forbid.
Yea, let God be true and every man a liar.
Let God be true and let every man be a liar. See, when your preachers quote that scripture, they never go back and they never give you verse 1 and 2. When you hear your people quote that, you never know what they actually mean. This is why it's dangerous to pull Bible verses out without reading the whole chapter in its context. So what was his answer again in verse 3?
You said verse 3?
Yeah, verse 3.
For what if some did not believe? Shall their unbelief make the faith of God without effect? God forbid. Yea, let God be true and every man a liar, as it is written, that thou mightest be justified in the sayings that and mightest overcome when thou art judged.
So when we talk the talk of Israel, that's how we're justified. And we are justified also when we may overcome, when people come in and judge us and saying, you don't got to do that. It doesn't matter. Today's lesson is entitled, Israelite Lives Matter. Now, for you that are not fully convinced yet, let's go back and let's see what the Most High has to say. Let's go to Deuteronomy, the 7th chapter. Let the Most High show you how much your life matters. Because I don't want you to believe it just because I'm saying it. Because I didn't write this. I'm only just telling you what the Most High says. Deuteronomy, the 7th chapter. Deuteronomy, the 7th chapter. And we're going to start there in verse 6. Hold on for a second. To give him time to get there. Deuteronomy, the 7th chapter. We're going to look at verses 6 through 14. Give verse 6 there.
For thou art a holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God has chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people there are upon the face of the earth.
Read that again.
For thou art a holy people.
For the Christians are the holy people.
For thou art a holy people.
For the church are holy people.
For thou art a holy people.
No, for Europe are the holy people.
For thou art a holy people. Unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God has chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people.
Above who?
Above all people that are upon the face of the earth.
So the Most High says, not me, not my reader, says what?
For thou art a holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord has chosen thee.
Chosen who?
Chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth.
Now, this is the Most High saying this. So how is it that when we are going around and waking our people up, telling them who they are, how is it that we are being racist? How are we being discriminatory against other people when the Most High said that we are special people above all people? See, that's why you don't need a Black Lives Matter shirt when the Most High has already told you that Israelite lives matter. Verse 7.
The Lord did not set his love upon you, nor choose you, because you were more in number than any people. For ye were the fewest of all people.
Because if you go back in Genesis, the 46th chapter, verse 27, you will see there that when Israel went down into Egypt, that they went in only 70 deep. It was 70 people that went into Egypt. But when they came out a million strong as a nation of Israel. So it's not like we had done such great work. It's not like we had accomplished such great accomplishments. We were the fewest of all people. It was only 70 of us. But he still chose us. Why did he choose us? Verse 8.
But because the Lord loved you, and because you would keep the oath which he had sworn unto your fathers, that the Lord brought you out with a mighty hand and redeemed you out of the house of bondmen from the hand of Pharaoh king of Egypt. Now know therefore that the Lord thy God, he is God.
Who?
He is God, and faithful God, which keepeth covenant and mercy with them that love him and keep his commandments to 1,000 generations.
So the Most High is telling us right now, I'm a faithful God. You walk with me, I'm going to walk with you. You rock with me, I'm going to rock with you. But he said, what in verse 9? Verse 10?
And repayeth them that hate him to their face, to destroy them. He will not be slack to him that hateth him. He will repay him to his face.
He will repay him to his face. This is why our people have gone through what we have went through in this world. Because our people broke this covenant. The so-called black man, the so-called African-American man, the so-called Mexican, the so-called Puerto Rican, the so-called Jamaican, the so-called Cubans and Haitians, the so-called Central America and South America, parts of South America and West and Southern Africa. This is why these people, the so-called Indian, these is why these people have went through what we have went through, because we broke this covenant. But verse 11.
Thou shalt therefore keep the commandments and statutes.
You can keep them whenever you feel like it.
Thou shalt therefore keep the commandments and the statutes and the judgments which I have commanded thee this day to do them. Wherefore it shall come to pass that ye hearken to the judgments and keep and do them, that the Lord thy God shall keep unto thee the covenant of mercy which he swore to thy father. And he will love thee and bless thee and multiply thee. He will also bless the fruit of thy womb and the fruit of thy land, thy corn, thy wine, thy oil, the increase of thy kind, and the flocks of thy sheep in the land which he swore unto thy fathers to give thee. Thou shalt be blessed above all people.
Christians shall be blessed above all people.
Thou shalt be blessed above all people, there shall not be male or female bearing among you or among your cattle.
So if we don't know who we are, if you think that you're black, how can we obtain these blessings? Not knowing who you are and not following this is how we're walking in the curse. So when you go to your church on Sunday morning and forsake the Sabbath, and they tell you, hey, listen, you don't got to follow that law, but give me your tithes, which is a part of the law. And they tell you, you're going to be blessed because, and then they go read the blessings of the tithe, but then tell you to break every other rest of the laws. That's what we call in the streets is hustling backwards. This is why you have so many of our people who've been tithing their whole lives, but still cursed. You cannot follow part of the law and break all the rest of it. It's amazing to me that you see these people all the time going in when it's time to talk about tithes. We'll go to the law and justify it, but it'll tell you you can break every one of the rest of them. That doesn't make any sense. Okay? So you need to understand that Israelite lives matter. And if you don't know you are an Israelite, you will continually break the covenants that will guarantee you your blessing. The Gentiles can be in Christ and get everything they need because the covenant was not given to them. The law was not given unto them. This is why we took you to Romans 3 and to Psalm 147. It was given to us. Not knowing who you are is detrimental to your existence. This is why the Gentiles and the nations have went out of their way to keep you from knowing who you are. So that's why they love you to go down there with the Black Lives Matter. They'll stand with you too. Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. But I don't see that in the scriptures. But I do see Israelite lives matter. Today's lesson is entitled, Israelite Lives Matter. Go over to Deuteronomy 10th chapter.